guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about why so many INFJs lack motivation. And I'm not talking about if other people think you're lacking motivation, because very often that's not even the case. On the outside, it seems like you're living this totally normal life, you're blending in, you're actually even being successful in some areas, but you yourself know you're not reaching your potential, you're not tapping into it. And so the question becomes, why are we so unmotivated? Why don't we have the thing that it takes in order to do the things that we know we can do? See, different than other types, INFJs do have a very strong sense of vision. We know what we could reach. We know what possibilities lay in front of us. And because we're so aware of it, we're also aware about the discrepancy between where we could be and where we are right now. So let's first talk about why we as INFJs are so often unmotivated. It's important to understand why this is happening so we can actively do something to change that pattern. If we're not aware of what's going on in our mindset that is keeping us from going the steps that are gonna make us feel happy and fulfilled and motivated, we cannot change them. So we're gonna look into that aspect and then find out how we can reverse that trajectory. Before we get started, I wanna remind you, if you want my help in getting motivated and achieving that INFJ epic life on your dreams, then work with me privately. All the information you find below. We as INFJs are so often focused on the end result. You might think, well, we're not that pragmatic, we're dreamers, we're all in our head. How can it be that we're more focused on the result than actually what is going on right now? Well, it has a lot to do with the fact that extroverted sensing, which is being in the present moment, is our fourth function. So we see it in our vision, we know this is what we want, we feel that sense of power, but we're not really tapping into it. It's hard for us to get a grip on it. And because we're not tapping into it, it will always be the end result that we're focusing on. At least if we're doing it on autopilot, if we're falling back into default mode. So remember, you as an INFJ will always firstly be motivated by vision. So you know what you want to achieve, you have that thing going on in your mind, and then you want to aim for it. But aiming for this one thing will never be enough, because no matter what you take on in your life, if you really want to feel like you're reaching your potential, you're tapping into it, you're motivated and you want to move forward, you cannot be focused on what might be the result, because that result is fleeting. How often have you been in situations where you felt like, okay, if I go for this one thing, then I'll be happy? Well, we've done this more than once. We as INFJs have gone through that process and know that it won't make us feel better, because the excitement of reaching that result takes a second. It's gone the minute we reach it. And because we're so aware of it, we don't even want to start. Why would we? We're not insane. We know there's no reason to do something if it's not going to make us feel better. So we've gone through this so many times that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're not aiming for the next best thing because we know once we reach it, it's not going to make us feel better. And so we stay stuck and feel like something is wrong. I'm not motivated. It doesn't really work for me. And there's just something wrong with me as a person. There's something wrong with me as an INFJ. And very often people use being an INFJ as an excuse. And remember, we're not thinking about excuses to other people. We don't care about that. But an excuse towards ourselves. And if that excuse would work, if it would make us feel better, I would have no problem with it. But the point is that we tell ourselves, well, that's just how I am. I just have to get used to the fact that I'm not as motivated as other people. That's part of my identity. That's part of my personality. It won't make us feel good, because the question arises over and over again. Why am I not motivated? Why can't I just reach for the things that are so important to me? And mainly, why doesn't this excite me? If you're asking yourself those questions over and over again, then no excuse in the world will help you. What will help you, though, is to understand that we can feel differently. It's about changing your approach and knowing that just because you're going to change that approach, you're not going to do anything that goes against your personality type. You don't have to change who you are or give up your beliefs. The only thing we have to understand is that we have to aim to becoming somebody and not to aim to reach something. What is the difference? Well, if you want to become somebody, then again, it's not about external perception. It's about you feeling like you're that motivated person. You knowing that no matter what comes your way, you are that person who keeps the promises you make to yourself. So how can you become that person? You gotta stop thinking that a result is going to make you feel good, but knowing very well that a process can make you feel that. And what does process mean to us INFJs? It means stepping into our extroverted sensing, knowing that that when we first do it, it won't feel great. It will feel like work. It will feel like we're not doing the bare minimum. Remember, we as INFJs, we're so great at understanding all the possibilities, everything that could happen. So we've made it an art form to do the bare minimum and to get ahead as much as possible. In the end, that's optimizing. And I was so proud of myself of going that route. But just because you can doesn't mean that that's the way to go. Because optimizing things, doing less and less and reaching the same amount of happiness won't make you happier. It will keep you where you're at. You will just do less and less, which in return will make you feel even less motivated. The point is to say, from now on, I'm not gonna do the bare minimum. I know I could. I have proven to myself that I as an INFJ have the capacity to do a lot of things with minimal input because I'm so aware of how to optimize the situation. I know this. I don't need to prove this to myself over and over again. I'm ready for the next step. And the next step is to say, I'm going to do as much as I possibly can. Don't compare yourself to somebody who can do 10 times as much work as you. I cannot do that either, but I'm challenging myself. I want to be as productive as I possibly can. And to such an extent where it still excites me. I don't want to be doing things that drain me completely. But to find that balance, to find that sweet spot, we have to go the other direction. We have to make that choice of wanting to be somebody who challenges themselves. So if you know this and you put this on your trajectory, you will see how your entire mindset will change, because your motivation won't come from the fact that you might reach that one goal. It also won't come from the fact of, oh, once I reach this, people will see that I'm smart or that I'm thoughtful or that I'm a good person or whatever you might think your ego wants, because you're not doing this for your ego. You're doing this for your own self. And the great thing is, once you're able to tap into this particular mindset, you won't care about the ego. You won't care about if other people think you're successful or cool or thoughtful or whatever it is, because you are so aware of it that you are that. You won't need to convince other people of that. And you'll see how this is true for so many things. So for example, you don't need to prove to other people that you eat enough. You do that. You know that you eat enough, so it's not a point. You don't need to prove to other people that you're not a bully if you really believe that you're not one. So it's the same thing about all those ego ones. If you honestly believe that you're living an INFJ epic life, if you honestly believe that your life is exciting, that you're reaching into your potential, that you're a motivated person, you will let other people think that you're lazy. You will let other people think that you have a boring life. You're not even going to think of that because you're so focused on creating that emotion for yourself. So if you know this, then it's time for you to set an action plan. You need goals and you need to make progress with them. You need SMART goals, meaning specific, measurable, applicable, realistic, and time-bound goals. Knowing very well that your happiness, your motivation will come along the way, not once you've achieved this goal. You want to be somebody who says, I'm going to write 5 applications this week. That is what's going to make me feel good about myself. That's what's going to make me feel excited about life and which will make me feel proud of myself because I have made that promise to myself and I kept it. It's not about getting that job. Getting that job will just be a conclusion to you writing and sending out applications over and over again. It's not something that you can control. It's not something that will make you feel motivated, because once you've gotten that job, what is the next step? You don't want to switch jobs right away. You already have a decent apartment. What is the next thing that's going to motivate you? If you continue to focus on reaching something, and that result in itself should be the reason why you're motivated, it will never last. But if you tell yourself, from now on, I'm going to be a person who keeps the promises he or she makes to him or herself, you will see how everything will change. You will get motivated because you can't wait for the next day. You can't wait to do your habits. You can't wait to do all those things that you know are going to make you feel good in the long run. It's about the results, but the results are happening one way or another if you're focused on the process. We as INFJs are that much more invested in our mindset. We're that much more invested in how we perceive our own life. So let's make that epic, and you'll see how your reality will also look epic. but it won't feel like this to you. You'll look at your life and say, yeah, other people say I'm having this amazing life or I've reached so many things, but for you, you are already on to the next thing. You're not looking at what other people are saying about your life. You know that you're the only force that can make you feel motivated, and it will happen if you put action first, if you tap into extroverted sensing, knowing very well that that thing might be uncomfortable, that you're not going to do the bare minimum in order to optimize what you already have, but that you want to expand your life, and that it will take some effort in order to create more energy. You see it with people who have to work all day long just to have enough to survive, in order to eat, in order to have some place to sleep. They are motivated by the sheer fact of, this is going to make me feel alive. This is what is necessary. So you can never really get to a point of excitement if you're always looking to do the bare minimum. Like that time when it was all about the poets, they were all depressed. Why? Because the poets in the time of Jane Austen and so on, they had enough money. They didn't have to worry about anything. So of course they were all about their pain and all about suffering, and they didn't have the motivation to do something that will make them feel excited. People get motivated if they need to do something. As long as you're focused on doing the bare minimum, you will never feel motivated. That's the most important thing we have to remember. And we as INFJs tend to do this because we're really good at it. So change that perspective. Stop doing things for the result, but start doing things in order to become that person who does all the steps, who wants to create a better life for yourself. That's the exciting part. And it's hard in the beginning to change that mindset, but we have to start, and we have to start with things that we can take on. So if you're somebody who's never worked out, or you haven't worked out at all in the last year, don't tell yourself, okay, now I'm gonna start working out 5 times a week. You're not gonna be able to do that. Same thing goes to sleep, by the way. We've talked about this in the bootcamp many times, that you say, okay, I barely sleep. I want to have better sleep so I have more energy so I can go towards the things that I want. And then people say, well, I always go to bed at 2 o'clock. From now on, I'm going to go to bed at 10. It's not realistic. Don't set yourself up for failure. Set small goals that you feel like you can have success in. And then once you make that progress, you learn to get excited about setting new goals, about being somebody who keeps those promises, getting excited about being somebody who makes that progress. That is what real self-confidence is all about. You learn that you can trust yourself, that when you've set this idea that you're gonna do something, you actually do it. Don't ever believe that you were born this way, or you, because you're an INFJ, have to deal with the fact that you're just not motivated. That's not the case. It can be learned, and you will not have to do something that you dislike. Yes, you have to put in some effort, but in the end, it will make your life so much easier. Trust me, working within the flow is easier than working in order to survive and keep your head above water. It might feel a little hard in the beginning because it takes some time to build that momentum, but it will get better. But as long as you're focused on, I'm only going to feel happy if I reach that goal, you will never stick through it, because it is about how you perceive your life. And it doesn't matter where you're at right now, because there are people who've achieved much less than you and look at you and say, oh, I wish I was as motivated as that person. And then there are people who've achieved so much more, and you look at them and think, oh, I wish I would be that motivated. We want to stop this. We want to get to a point where we focus on ourselves. We focus on how to get more motivated today than yesterday, and to do all that while creating more energy for ourselves. I don't want you to suffer. I don't want you to get to a point where you feel like you have to do hard things that you don't like. That's just part of life and I have to accept it. That's not the case. You can enjoy life while doing something productive. Remember, if you want my help with this process and to get that momentum going, because my goal in the end is for you to be able to create this for yourself. If you want my help with this, then work with me privately. All the information you find below. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video on poisonous predictability. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.